Hold on. Yeah, you was in them. Hold on. Yeah, it's still choppy. Yeah, you still choppy. Hold on real quick, Augie. Isaiah was good. How you doing today? How you doing? See, you still connected to the audio. We'll let you get connected. Hold on. Mikael, your audio still choppy, like you literally going in and out. We can't understand. You might have to get to another area. We got a gentleman, Isaiah, that just jumped on. Isaiah, how you doing today, man? All right. All right, y'all. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. It's 8:20. Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. Real quick, as I'm pulling this up, man, I'm gonna tell y'all. I really learned my lesson in regards to patience. And I know that's one of the main things that we talk about here is patience. But I learned that lesson. I was doing my studying for my stocks that my stock plays that I want to get into this week and stuff. So I just so happened to just be looking at some positions that I was in like a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago. And man, I was so sick to my stomach because it's positions that I jumped out of that had I held, like for instance, right now Ford is like 25.57 or something like that. I had Ford stock when it was $5.77 a share. And that was just last year. And because it wasn't moving fast enough for me, I sold it all. And had I kept my Ford stock, I would have 5x my money a year later. Patience. Like I was looking at another company, it's a petroleum company called Oxy, OXY. I remember being in Oxy when it was like $7 and some change a share. Right now, it's $35 and some change a share. Like I would have, what's that, 7x my money? I would have 7x my money with that had I just held and been patient. And like just looking at that, man, like really going back, looking at the stocks that I used to own, how had I just stayed in, even Tesla, like I owned fractional shares of Tesla. And I was in Tesla when it was real cheap and before the split. And I had to sell some Tesla at that time because I had bills to pay and stuff like that. But like little things that I learned, like you get in the right portfolio or you get in the right with the right brokerage, you can borrow against the stocks that you have. So you don't have to sell your stock. Like if you own stock, if you somebody that's listening to this right now, you own stock and you come up on hard times, if you have the right brokerage holding your stock, you can borrow against your portfolio. So that way you don't actually have to sell your positions, because we all hit hard times. And that's how the rich do it. They don't actually sell their shares, they borrow against their shares. And then they pay the money back when they get the money. So that way your wealth continues to grow. Now, had I borrowed against, let's just say my Tesla shares, let's just say I think I got in with Tesla was like $400-$500. Right now, Tesla's over $1,000 a share. Like I would have doubled my money. So even if I would have had to pay like a little, what's the penalty, like 3 or 4%, that's nothing compared to 100%. So I would have got back 90-something%. So that's why it's very important to like practice and exercise patience and thinking long term. That's why one of the things that we do is reverse engineering when it comes to goal setting, because you got to think about things that's going to happen in the distant future, and also always be focused on making decisions that positively impact your distant future. Don't make decisions based on the here and now, because you're going to get shot down every time. Like negative decisions. Like I said, going back to my stock portfolio, it's a lot of positions I should have still been holding on to. I would have had, some good money right now, but being undisciplined and being impatient cost me a lot of money. So that's that. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for being on here today. I want y'all to excuse me. I am a little bit under the weather. Throat is starting to hurt, so Me talking is, is going to be very strange for me, but I'm still going to push through it. So I want to thank you, gentlemen, who are on the call right now. And I want to thank everyone who decided to watch this recording at a later date. This is Setting Your Intention, session number 16, presented by Infrastructure of a Man. We are on session number 16 today, gentlemen. We've been flying through this thing, man. Like we really been hitting the ground going, and all of us who have been in this thing have been experiencing some great, some powerful and positive changes in our life just from doing what it is that we know we need to do. So for those of y'all who do not know me, my name is Virgil Johnson. I am an author, public speaker, consultant, husband, father. I have 2 published works right now. The first work that I have published is a book titled Making Your Enemy Your Footstool: How to Use the American System to Your Benefit as a Black Individual in America. And then my second work that I have published is a journal. It's titled The Garden Bed of Life Journal. In that journal, I teach people how to take their ideas, starting them off as seeds, and grow them into a harvest, which is them bringing their idea to fruition. So both of those works can be purchased on Amazon right now. If you feel like you want those, you need those works, just go search them on Amazon and you'll be able to pull them up and purchase them from there. Infrastructure of a Man. Infrastructure of a Man is an organization and a consulting business that works with men to help them overcome mental blocks and stuck points. We also help men restructure their ideas as well as help them create new ideas. We work together to form a support system where men can go to be understood, supported, as well as have an accountability group that will encourage one another to achieve the goals that they have set forth for their life. Our aim is to ensure that real men prevail. So today's topic, I'm going to jump right into it. This is it's still in the line of setting our intentions. The whole purpose of our seminar that we've been doing is setting our intentions. So we've been talking about all the different things that we can do with setting our intentions, aka goal setting. So we've been talking about SMART goal setting. Excuse me. We talk about SMART goal setting. We've been talking about the 5 W's of goal setting. We've been talking about reverse engineering goal setting. We went over SWOT analysis. We went over so many different skill sets in regards to setting goals and setting our intentions to make sure that we are locked in on what it is that we want to do. But in those things, in those skills that or those goal setting arenas in which we've been in, something that we need and to make sure that we have to ensure that we are reaching our goal of what are called soft skills. So soft skills are very, very, very important because soft skills are the interpersonal skills that you need in order to get things done and to make things happen. Soft skills are qualities that are innate to your personality and aren't part of a formal education like a college degree. Soft skills are people-based and are mostly fine-tuned as you interact with others. So most times when people think when it comes to, what it is that they want to accomplish, a goal or intention or anything in that manner, they think about their what are called hard skills. They think about, whatever their hard skill may be. So if you're a type of person who, let's just say, like myself, public speaking. Okay, a hard skill would be speaking, like actual speaking in front of audiences. That's a hard skill. But when we'll get into some soft skills, but that's just an example. If I want to say become a welder, a hard skill would be learning how to weld. If I want to build houses, hard skill would be any type of construction or labor skills that I learn with my hands. If I want to learn how to program computers, a hard skill would be computer program engineering. Like those are hard skills, but when it comes to soft skills, these are your interpersonal skills that you need. Now, a lot of us have chose career goals that we want to accomplish, but some of us have chose personal goals that we want to accomplish as well. And in those personal goals that we want to accomplish, these soft skills are very, very, very important to you achieving these things that you set out to achieve, especially if they involve other people or having other people a part of your life. So I want to touch on a few of these. We're going to go over these and then we're going to go from there. So why do you need soft skills? A strong set of soft skills can help you when it comes down to achieving your desired goals and intentions. Like I said, you need these soft skills to go with your hard skills because it's like I'm gonna give y'all a story real quick. So as you all know, some of the work that I do outside of those, arenas that I've listed before is I do, technical work. So I install security systems, security cameras, do all this type of other stuff as well. So I was dealing with a customer today with a particular security company. And they, we were having trouble downloading the app on the phone. We got the app downloaded, but it was parts of the app that was missing that I needed in order to install their cameras that they needed in their house and on the outside of the house. So I called customer service. No, not customer service. I called tech support. So I'm sitting there and I'm talking to tech support, and the technical skills, the tech support representative had it down, but the tech support, individual or agent, they really didn't know how do we say it, read the room. They didn't understand, like they were just like trying to stick to the script. Like, here's the script, here's what I'm supposed to say, here's how I'm supposed, like, here's what I'm supposed to say, all this and that. They weren't really trying to connect on the interpersonal level. They were just like very rigid. And in like me and the customers, because it was a husband and wife, we were both looking at each other like, and so we put the phone on me, and the customers was like, wow, what's this? And I said, technically she's doing her job, but here's the thing, like, she doesn't understand the personal side of her job. She doesn't understand let me connect to the customer, what's going on right now. She's just trying to get through the call, trying to check all the points on the technical side, on the work side, without trying to check the points on the interpersonal side. And yeah, you want to get the job done, but at the same time, if you're interacting with other individuals, these soft skills are very, very, very important, because you want to have that connection with people when it comes to achieving certain goals. Because like we stated before, no man is an island. Every man needs a group, a set of individuals to help them in regards to getting to where they need to get to and achieving their goals and their intentions. So you need to be able to interact with people. We're going to go over some of these soft skills to show you what you need. Now, I'm only going to go over a few, like 20. There's like hundreds of them. So when you get opportunity, you're going to research the other ones, but these are just some important ones that I feel like needed. So some of the main topics of soft skills, and then you got subsections under all of these. You have communication, you have the soft skills of problem solving, leadership, work ethic, teamwork, and time management. So all of these are soft skills that you should be able to possess in order to be, excuse me, I'm sorry, in order for you to achieve the goal and desired result that you're trying to achieve. So these are the main topics, and then we're going to go into some of the subsets underneath each one of these. So when it comes to communication, some of the subset soft skills that you should have in regards to communication is you should be able to visually communicate. So visually communication skills are those that use signals that are received by someone else's eyes to convey a message. So if you're an individual and you're trying to work with somebody, you need to be able to like catch visual cues. Like, okay, if you go into a room and you all are, trying to overtake a room, or you all are trying to, break down the room, y'all have to be able to communicate with each other's eyes. I was at a customer's house. I put up a security camera a couple of weeks ago, and she works from home. And so, she's a very well-off individual. She works from home. She was doing interviews and stuff like that because she needed a nanny. She needed someone to do some other jobs and other work. So she had people coming in and out of her house. She was on a very important business meeting that she had to be on. So I'm sitting in the living room, I'm waiting, I've done, partial of my part. I just had to wait for her. So I was just waiting for her to get out of her meeting. So she had an interviewer that was coming in. So instead of me just sitting there like, oh, I hear the doorbell ringing, I know that's that's me being able to understand. So I walk over to her. Now she can't talk to me, but I look over, I give her an eye, and I look at the door in my eye, and I point to the door, and then I give her another look, and then she look at me, and then she does the thumbs up, and I go open the door, I bring the person in. Now this ain't my house, this ain't my wife, this ain't my woman, this ain't my girl. This woman's house. But I still brought the person in. Hey, this is what's going on. Need you to be quiet. Take your shoes off. Come in here, sit down on the sofa. Hey, my name is Virgil Johnson. I'm the technician that's here helping out right now. She's in a meeting, but we'll get you all set. Do you need anything? Do you need a bottle of water? Da da da. Me having that visual communication with her, I was able to go ahead and handle everybody that had came in while she was on her meeting. And then when she got off, she was like, man, I appreciate that. Like, you really helped me out. I was like, yeah, I saw what it was that you needed, and I saw I could be the person to help you. So that came with that visual communication, that visual contact. Communication also, you want to have clarity. You want to be able to do storytelling. Storytelling, you want to be a good storyteller, and it's an important skill because with the right type of story, you can influence and persuade others. Not only are emotions central to effective storytelling, they also help for building memories and therefore strengthening the message you're trying to get across and helping people remember it. So if you're a person where your goal that you want to set is you want to start a business, you need to be able to tell a powerful enough story to get people to come in and patronize your business. Like, everybody's selling everything nowadays. Like, that's just what it is. So you got to figure out what sets me apart. Why does my story set me apart? What is going to make my story resonate with these customers to make them continue to come back to me, and not only come back once, but become repeated customers, and not only become repeated customers, but then also spread my business by word of mouth. Got to be able to do that when it comes to storytelling. I want to go back up here to clarity real quick. I'm sorry, I bypassed that. Clarity. Usually someone said something that was misinterpreted or allowed others to make incorrect assumptions, and not enough questions were asked. Having a lack of clarity in your communication and failing to seek clarity can do a great deal of damage. When it comes to your communication, you have to make sure you have clarity. Some of the men that have been in this group, you all said you want to have better relationships with your wives. As we know, and some of y'all may have read the book, what is it? Women are from Venus and men are from Mars. Like, one of the things that you learn in any book that you read and any seminar that you go to when it comes to marriage is men and women communicate differently. We could be saying the same exact thing, but we're going to understand it differently. We could be saying one thing and the other gender totally assumes that it was saying something else. Like, one of the things that I learned, let's just say from Way of the Superior Man, one of the things that I learned when it came to communication with women was women are all over the place. Like, they'll say they want one thing this minute, and then 10 minutes later, they're like, oh no, I don't want that, or they change it up. In the book, they said they don't make them a liar. You got to understand, feminine energy is chaotic. It's all over the place. It doesn't like settle down. So as a man, you have to be the one that say, okay, I see what it is that you want, but I'm going to make the best decision for the entirety. That's how you have to understand what communication is. So you have to make sure that you're clear in your communication, so that way there isn't no miscommunication. And then, of course, when it comes to communication, patience. For those of you all who were on the call earlier, I talked about how I missed out on a lot of money due to my impatience. I told you all how, had I just held on to the stocks that I had, I would have 5x, 7x, 10x doubled my money by now. But I didn't. I was impatient, and that impatience caused me to lose money that I didn't even I literally just had to buy a stock and hold it. And I had to do anything. I had to go work. I didn't have to do anything crazy. Just buy and hold and be patient and sit down and get out my own way. But my impatience caused me to lose money that I didn't even have to work for. So you want to make sure that you have patience, because if you have patience, you can avoid making hasty decisions that leads to mistakes. Lack of patience can lead to very detrimental mistakes, especially when it comes to communication. The next thing is you want to make sure you have problem solving. Under problem solving, you want to make sure you're a lateral thinker. With lateral thinking, you are able to be creative on demand, and therefore develop new ideas. You want to be persistent. You want to make sure that you're persistent, which means that you're willing to stick to something even when things get tough. You want to be experimenting. With experimentation, you can be creative in your quest for solving for a solution to a problem. This means you are willing to try new things and be flexible in your work until you find the answer that you're looking for. Gentlemen, as we know, when it comes to problem solving, everything isn't a straight line. You could be trying to figure out something and it could be all over the place. It's never right to the point. So you have to be an individual who is comfortable with experimenting. You have to be an individual that is comfortable with moving sideways, with, like, being able to, what they call it, pivot. You have to. Experimenting is a part of pivoting, because if you see something's not working, you have to be able to figure out, okay, what's something else that I could do, and move to that, and be flexible, not be rigid and saying, no, this is the way. Like, you have your desired goal, but your route to get to that desired goal may be a different route than what you have already designated. So just imagine if you're taking a road trip somewhere, and on your road trip, you have your GPS on, and you know the direction that you're going and how to get there when you first started. But then on the road trip, there was a huge accident on the interstate. Are you going to stay on the interstate and be like, no, and then the directions are telling you, hey, the GPS is telling you to veer off, save yourself 45 minutes by going around. Are you going to be like, no, I'm going to stay in the middle of this traffic because this is the way I thought I was going? No, you're going to go around and go to where it's going to save you almost an hour. Same thing in life. You got to be willing to experiment on something different in order to solve the problem. And then for problem solving, you got to be able to analyze. Being analytical means you can break down large problems into smaller problems, gather and evaluate data, manage information effectively, understand complex reading materials, and create alternatives and solutions. You have to be able to analyze things when it comes to problem solving, because analyzing situations, issues, problems, any of those things are one of the key components in achieving your goal. Like I stated, when you're trying to achieve a goal, it's not going to be a direct line, a direct path to it. You're going to have to figure out how to be creative in getting there, so that way you can reach the end goal. Next is leadership. So in leadership, you got to be able to, leadership, conflict or dispute resolution. You have to be able to possess this skill. Leaders must often handle a wide array of interpersonal issues in their companies, or in your businesses, or in your lives, or in anything it is that you're trying to do, in your goals and your intentions, anything. In order to be a successful leader, you have to be able to see all sides of an issue and make confident final decisions in the matter. You have to be able to manage difficult conversations. I think a lot of us struggle with this. I've said this before and I'll say it again. Conflict avoided is conflict multiplied. Please write that down if you don't have that written down somewhere. Conflict avoided is conflict multiplied. Many of us avoid difficult conversations because we think it's gonna keep the tides at bay. We think it's gonna keep the problems back. No, what's gonna happen is even bigger problems will arise later. You have to be able to manage difficult conversations. You have to be able to strategically plan things. Strategically planning requires you to look forward, not backwards. Many of us are focusing on what we did wrong, what happened when we were 6 years old, whatever. You can't do that. You got to keep looking forward. Instead of only looking at past successes, you must have the ability to look at possibilities for the future. You have to be able to create a vision and plan it accordingly. And then you have to be a great people manager. Successful people are able to manage different personalities and opinions in order to get their group to work well together. So, like I told you, no one's an island. So when you realize, in order for me to accomplish this dream, I need a team, you got to be able to manage everybody. If you're hiring virtual assistants, you got to be able to manage them and tell them what to do. If you're hiring web designer, you got to be able to manage that person and tell them what to do. If your VA needs to talk to your web designer because you're in a meeting, you have to be able to get them to work well together and understand what's going on, what information they need to add, what information needs to be changed, because you might not always be there, but you still need your vision or your goal to come to be. You got to have a great work ethic. You got to have competitiveness. You have to want to continuously improve in order to be the best. When it comes to achieving your goal, comes to achieving the desired results that you want, comes to achieving your intentions, you have to be competitive, because you're not the only person that's doing what it is that you're doing. Now, I know we live in this society now where everybody's like, oh, you're not competing against anyone else. You're only competing against who you were yesterday. And that's true to a point, but you're also competing against other people. So let's not fool ourselves. Like, there's a lot of misinformation going around right now that wants to take away the competitiveness out of things. No, these people are trying to take your spot. It's people who are trying to have what you got. It's people who are trying to stay where you are trying to get to, and they ain't trying to give you a slice of the pie. Yeah, the pie is big enough for us all to have it, but it's people like that who trying to hold the whole pie. And what you gonna say? Oh no, you can have it. No, how you gonna get your slice? So you want to make sure that you're consistently improving in order to be your best. You got to be disciplined. A disciplined person is an efficient person. Let me say that again. A disciplined person is an efficient person. For those of y'all who want to call yesterday, I talked about it. Hey, ever since we've been doing our fast, and one of the things I've been fast from is procrastination. Man, I'm paying bills early. Like that has never happened. Like I'm literally like, man, I got the money 2 weeks early. I'm gonna go ahead and pay it 2 weeks early. That way, and by me doing that, that takes that off of my mind. So for the next 2 weeks, I don't have to worry about this bill. Oh, let me make sure I don't miss it. Let me go ahead and pay it, and now I can move on to the next thing, and I can continue to move forward in the future. With work ethic, one of the most important parts is optimism. You have to be optimistic. Being optimistic is not only a strategy to help you feel good. When you are able to focus on your innate character strengths and abilities instead of your perceived failures, you can increase your level of success. Because of this, optimistic people view obstacles at work as being learning opportunities that can be faced head on. So, like we talked about, when it comes time to achieve your goal, you are not going to be going in a straight line and not have any issues. You're going to have problems. You're going to have issues. You're going to have setbacks. Even something as little as right now, gentlemen, I'm literally struggling right now to talk to y'all. Like my throat hurt, my chest hurt. I am struggling. Every time I stop, I'm taking a drink of water to help my throat. But it's a struggle, but I'm pushing through it. And I'm being optimistic because I know as long as I continue to go, I'm going to get through the presentation. I'll be fine. But you don't want to be overly optimistic to where you're being blind to what's going on, but you want to be optimistic enough to know that if I keep pushing forward, I'm going to achieve what it is that I'm going to achieve. And I'm not going to give up, and I'm not going to stop. And then you have to be punctual. You have to be willing and able to respect deadlines. When it comes to work ethic, it don't matter if I used to play basketball. It don't matter if you ran hard. If you ain't make the time when you was on the line running, that didn't matter. We had to get back on the line and run again. It's the same thing in your life. If you set a deadline for your goal, or setting a deadline for what it is you're trying to do, you don't respect that deadline. First off, that's a lack of self-discipline. Second off, it's going to push you back on what it is that you're trying to achieve. Like you never know what being punctual can do for you. Like lacking punctuality, you could do something or have something due and miss that deadline, and that may push you achieve your goal back 6 months. Missing something by 1 day could push you back 6 months. You don't know. It could push you back a year. It could push you back a week. Here's the thing you don't know, but why take that chance? Why take that chance of trying to see how far it could push me back? Why not just set deadlines and respect the deadlines that you have set forth to achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve? Teamwork. Like I told y'all before, no man is an island. So you got to be collaborative. You got to be able to work well with others and work toward a mutually beneficial goal, even if it's what it is that you're doing. Like you can't do everything. You don't know everything. So you have to work well with other people. So if you need somebody to design your web page, you got to be able to work well with a web designer. If you can't properly communicate your idea to the web designer, what you want on your page, how you going to have a page, a great page to put out for your customers to come see you? If some of you all, let's just say, for instance, Alex, one of the things that you want to do is you want to pray more with your family. If you can't work together with your wife on what time we putting the kids to bed and what time works better for us to collaborate on me praying over the family, you trying to achieve that goal is not going to happen. Emotional intelligence. This one's very important, gentlemen. Decades of research show that emotional intelligence is what sets extremely successful people apart from others. Emotional intelligence is the intangible quality in people that affects one's behavior, personal competence, and social competence. We talked about this when we were talking about reacting versus responding. So remember I said reacting is emotional. Responding is emotional intelligence. Responding is carefully crafting how you're going to present yourself to the world. Reacting was just whatever's innately in you, just coming out. So this is having emotional intelligence is what sets people apart, because you have to be able to read the room. I keep saying that. You got to be able to read the room. You got to be able to understand the assignment, whatever other cute catchphrase they got going on right now. You have to be able to do these things so that way you can properly navigate. Because if you just going through with your heads in the clouds, you're going to get your neck knocked off every time. So you have to make sure that you have that emotional intelligence. You have to be able to exchange ideas. Idea exchange. When you're willing to exchange ideas with other people, new and better concepts can develop as you are exposed to opinions you never considered before. I'm going to tell y'all, there's another piece of advice going around on the internet that says, keep your ideas to yourself. Don't tell nobody what you're going on, because you don't know who's praying for your downfall. Like I told y'all before, that's the most scariest advice I've ever heard in my life. When we did that activity where we wrote down 10 people we were supposed to tell our dream to, and then also strangers. And I'm gonna tell y'all, I don't care who trying to come up against me. Whatever they got going on and whatever they trying to do, it ain't stronger than what it is that I'm trying to do. Because what I'm trying to do is change the world. So no wickedness or evil is going to be stronger than the power of me trying to do right in this world. So I don't care what somebody got, what somebody going to pray in downfall, because I know the protection and the power that I have within me. So that scary, oh, don't tell nobody what you got going on, that's scary to me. Then that's my opinion. That's what I rock with. But you holding these ideas back, or you keeping them to yourself, ain't no telling who can bring something to you. Like I literally just got, because I go around telling people my goal is to help 800 men by the end of the year. I tell random people that. Like I'll be speaking to somebody, I'm speaking to the cash register at the store. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? Hey, I'm on whatever, 25 on pump 3. Hey, look, I'm a men's life coach, men's life consultant. My goal is to help 800 men at the end of the year. If you know anybody, send them to me. Now, if I go back in that store again, he's going to remember me. When I go talk to my customers, I tell them the same thing. I got customers I told that to, and they said, oh, we know an organization. Here's an organization that this is what they do. They make connections to me. I just got a mentor for public speaking, because guess what? I put it out there. I keep putting out what I want, and I keep getting resources to help me get what I want. But if I kept it in myself, kept it inside to myself, it'll be much more difficult for me to achieve the goal. Here's the thing, gentlemen. The goal don't have to be difficult. Like what you don't have to go through extreme adversity to reach the goal. The goal is to reach the goal. That's the whole point, to reach the goal. Not to get beat down as much as you can getting there. If you could get there scot-free, get there scot-free. Now, of course, we're going to have to go through some things, but don't make it more difficult on yourself. Get as much help as you can in order to achieve whatever it is that you're trying to achieve. And then the last thing is you have to have sales skills. This is very important, because with sales skills, you can persuade others to buy into your product or your service or your dream or your goal. This is very important. Anybody trying to do anything, you have to have sales skills. I'm able to speak to people. I'm able to feel comfortable talking to people, strangers, no matter who, because my first job was a sales job at the age of 16, selling stupid Cutco knives to people. Like, so that helped me interact with individuals face to face, people that I knew, didn't know, all of this. Most times knowing, hey, look, most people not going to want these knives anyways because they overpriced. But I still had to go in there and do my job. So guess what? I can sell myself to anybody now, because I sold a product that I know people didn't want, and people still bought it. So it's easy for me to sell myself. So you have to have sales skills, because whatever it is you're trying to achieve, you have to sell yourself to other people in order to achieve that thing. Just like I go around telling people, I don't just go and tell people, hey, man, I'm just trying to help 800 people. I'm trying to help 800 men. No, like I put passion into it so people feel it when I'm telling them. And when people feel it, they're like, oh, I need to help this man reach his goal. How can I do that? Who can I call right now to help this man reach that 800 people, reach those 800 people? You have to have sales skills, because no matter what it is, going back to you, Alex, even if you said you want to pray every day with your family, you got to sell that to your wife. Maybe that's not something that she want to do. Maybe she's like, hey, we can do it 2-3 times a week, but every single night, no, you got to be able to sell that dream to her. Derek, you want to be able to go around, you want to get your house, you got other skills and dreams that you're trying to go through. You got to be able to say, and I know you good at selling. I know you got the gift of gab. So you good at that, but you still have to have those selling skills so that way you can reach the desired result in what you want to look for. And then the last one, time management. Like we said earlier, you have to make sure that you're disciplined. Disciplined people are efficient people. Time management is a part of discipline. Under time management, you gotta be able to streamline. Streamlining your work involves cutting out unnecessary tasks and reducing the amount of excess information that isn't required for progress. When we talked about procrastination, and we were going over procrastination, one of the 4 types of procrastinators was the individual that bogs themselves down with a whole bunch of work so they can't do what they're actually supposed to do. You have to be able to cut out all the unnecessary stuff in order to reach what it is that you need to get to. That's why we did the reverse engineering. So that way you're not wasting time, energy, and effort on things that are unimportant. Figure out what is important and do those things in order to get to the goal or get to the task, get to the end desired result. Got to be able to do task planning. Task planning involves setting goals, finding necessary resources, and scheduling events that are related to certain tasks. When you are able to do this efficiently, you can achieve your goals in the amount of time that you have available. Time awareness. Time awareness goes back to respecting deadlines. In order to be successful in goal setting, you need to have an idea of how long things take to accomplish and how much time has passed as you were working. Does you no good to go in and try to do something and then you can't do it in the desired time that's needed. And then you have to have a work-life balance. This is very, very, very important. And whatever it is that you're trying to go through, your work could be the goal that you're trying to achieve. Some of us is different. Some of us have different goals and intentions we're trying to achieve, but you need to be able to make time for other aspects of your life aside from your work or what it is that you're trying to accomplish in order to be an effective individual. I'm gonna tell y'all, I easily today started doing some work, started doing some things. I easily could have just worked through the day and found like productive, necessary tasks that I needed to do. But y'all know what I did? About 1 o'clock, 1:30, I stopped. I told my 2 older children to go put their clothes on. I told my wife to get my 2 babies ready. And I said, hey, if you need to do anything at the house, here you go. Here's your time by yourself. And I took all 4 of my kids out. And we went to the Martin Luther King Jr. house here in Atlanta. I thought it was open, but it was closed. So we went, we took some pictures, stuff like that. We didn't get to actually go inside. But I took time out because I had that work-life balance. Like, I don't want my kids to think, oh, daddy just working. No, took them out, got them out the house. We went and looked at some other places. We went and looked at Ebenezer Church, the church that he was the pastor of. We went and looked at some other things in the city, some other artifacts, some cool buildings. My 2 oldest children are very artistic. So I took them around and look at all the paintings on the buildings and paintings on the bridge and all of those types of things just to get their creative juices flowing. I did all of that. And I didn't care about, I've been going. Nope. I focused all my time in on them to be balanced. And then I got back home. And then I went back to doing the things that I needed to do. They were able to get out the house. I was able to spend time with 4 of my children, and we were able to get things done that they wanted to do, getting out the house and stuff like that. So you have to have that work-life balance in order to keep things efficient. Now I don't got to worry about my kid. Now, guess what? My kids ain't going to be aggravating me while I'm trying to work. Like, they're not going to be like, Daddy did that. No, because I gave them the attention that they needed. So they're not going to be trying to get unnecessary attention, especially when I'm trying to do something. So that's that. Before we move on, does anyone have any questions or comments about anything that we have went over so far? Anything that they want to talk about, anything that they want to add? Anybody got anything? All right, cool. We're going to go ahead and move on to our, Mikaya, you got something?
No. I was going to say no. We good, but I like it, man. I like the fact that you flying through how you how you doing? And I just wanted to say I appreciate you like fighting through it. I definitely understand it. Hey, if I was close to you, I'd definitely bring you some tea out.
I appreciate that. Yeah, man. I drank some before I drank the water, but yeah, I appreciate that, man. All right, so we're gonna move on to talking about our 21-day fast. This is day 15, gentlemen. Day 15 of day 21. What that means, we got 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We got less than a week left of our fast, gentlemen. For those of you all who are just coming in and don't totally understand the purpose of the fast, so this session, what we're doing is called setting your intentions. So we came up with a desired goal, a specific goal that we wanted to achieve. But as we know, in order to achieve anything in life, you have to sacrifice something. You have to give up something. So what we've done is we've decided to do a 21-day fast. So we fasted from physical things such as food, and then we fasted from characteristics such as negative characteristics. So for instance, I'm fasting from meats, processed foods, processed sugars, deep fried foods, breads, rice, all of that. Those are things that I love, things that I really need to stay away from, but things that I love. And on the non-physical side, I'm fasting from negative communication, fasting for procrastination, fasting from information overload, fasting from, it's one other thing. Those are the main things that I'm fasting from. So the purpose is to take what it is that you're fasting from at the end of your 21 days, go to your creator, go to your source, go to whatever higher power you subscribe to and say, hey, here, I've made these sacrifices and I want to offer you these things I want to offer you these things for you to give me what it is that I want, this desire, this intention, open up the doors and the pathways for me to reach these desires and intentions. And once we go into that, once we finish that, then that's what we will offer up. This will be our offering to our creator. So that's the purpose of the 21-day fast. We're on day 15. Like I said yesterday, man, like this lack of procrastination, it has really helped me really just start hammering out getting things done. And I remember when Alex talked about how he did his budget to try to pay off his car note, pay off his 2 car notes, and he realized, man, I could do more. I've done the same thing when I've stopped procrastinating. Like I already felt like I was doing a lot. And I've had a lot of people tell me, oh man, I'm doing a whole bunch. But I've been able to do even more in my day when I quit procrastinating, when I quit scrolling on Instagram for 30 minutes, when I quit scrolling up and down Facebook for 15 minutes, when I quit playing chess for 30 minutes. Like I got a lot of time when I quit watching unnecessary random YouTube videos for an hour and a half. Like I got a lot of time now to do even more. And I still have the opportunity to take the breaks that I need. But that's what that procrastination has done. As far as with the physical side, it's really cleared me out mentally. Like I'm able to focus more. I'm able to be in tune more. I'm able to have more patience. I'm able to, operate in a higher version of myself. So that's me. Anybody who's been doing their fast, does anybody want to, talk about, some of the things that they've been dealing with they fast? All right. So everybody got what they, the things that they've overcame, the things that they're overcoming with their fast. So just go keep pushing it out. 6 more days, gentlemen. 6 more days. Next, the last thing we have here, we're going to do our reading from Harper's letter to a young brother. So I'm going to push through this. We are on letter 9, I believe. Let's see here. Get to it. Yes, we're on letter 9. Letter to a young brother. For those of y'all who are not familiar with this letter, this individual here, Harper, he was a famous movie, TV star. He wrote a letter to a young man. He was basically a pen pal with a teenager who, just was asking him different questions about life. This teenager didn't have his father around. His mom was, typical single teenage mom, typical single mom. So he's asking Hill Harper just these different questions about life. And Hill Harper is writing these letters, responding to him, answering his questions. So right now, letter 9, it says sex matters. Love does not begin and end the way we seem to think it does. Love is a battle. Love is a war. Love is growing up. Dear young brother, in your letter, you asked me about sex. Not the easiest or simplest subject to address, but it's something we should definitely talk about. But I must say this, you're moving pretty fast from barely being able to ask Jamila to the mall less than a month ago and now talking about having sex. Dang. There are so many important issues involving sex that it can easily be very confusing. So I'm glad you wrote and asked me my advice, brother to brother. Physically speaking, sex is not difficult. Millions of people around the world do it. Everywhere you look, something alludes to sex, and if sex is always easy to get and always fun to have. Sex is always easy to get and always fun to have. Sex sells. It sells music when you see a video of half-naked women fawning all over a male singer. It sells sneakers when you see cheerleaders in short shorts cheering for Iverson, or the car advertisement when you see the cute girl riding in the passenger seat of some car they are selling. Sex sells beer, cigarettes, burgers, and movies. The fastest growing sector of the magazine industry is comprised of publications like Maxim, Stuff, and FHM. Advertisers tout casual sex as the new cool, but fantasy sex was the latest Maxim cover girl is not what you and I have to talk about. We need to discuss the real deal, you, your private parts, and what you choose to do with them. When you're young and you really feel like you want to have sex right now, it is partially because your hormones, which are chemicals in your body, can be out of balance. At different times during adolescence, your body may have too much of some hormones and not enough of others, which can cause your emotions to be out of whack. These hormones help you mature into being an adult and take you from being a boy to becoming a man. They eventually normalize and smooth out. Until then, though, off-kilter hormones can overpower you and overwhelm your judgment. And bad judgment and sex are a dangerous combination, a recipe for disaster. As my friend Donovan McNabb would say, and we don't want disasters. So let me get this straight. In your letter, you said you wanted to talk about sex, but the specific story you're telling me is about you and Jamelia. You said you've been dating Jamelia and she doesn't want to have sex at this point in your relationship. You said you're ready to take the relationship to the next level, and if she really trusts you, she will too. Then there's this other girl, Crystal, who you said wants to get with you right now and isn't tripping about having sex. First of all, there are a whole lot of issues besides sex in your scenario. Principally, there are the issues of your honesty, fidelity, and the agreement that you have made with Jamelia to be her boyfriend. If dating another woman is something you're interested in, that is something that you need to be clear about with Jamelia. That has nothing to do with sex per se. It has everything to do with you making decisions that will affect your relationship and relationship with Jamelia. One thing I would like you to consider is the misconception that the more sexual conquest you have, the more masculine you are. The number of sexual conquests have nothing to do with the man's masculinity. It is often the case that men try to hide their insecurities by sleeping with multiple women, but there is more value in developing a long-term relationship. You have a best friend who knows you well. You have someone you trust and you feel valuable in a relationship. If you choose to break up with Jamelia and pursue a relationship with Crystal, you have to realize that you run the risk of never getting back to the same place with Jamelia. So you have to decide if your relationship with Jamelia is worth risking. But since you didn't ask about all of that, and you specifically asked about sex, then that's what we're talking about. Okay, I'm about to make a big statement right now, and I want you to get this clearly. Here it is, and you can quote me on this. Throughout the history of the world, more men have been brought down to have their lives destroyed because of their irresponsible sexual activity than by any other single act. That's right. Wow, did you get that? But the key to understanding the fact is to really break down what I mean when I say irresponsible sexual activity. Notice I didn't just say sexual activity, like a lot of people would say to you. And if they are trying to make you think that sex itself is a bad thing, sex is not a bad thing. That is because the act of having sex relations is the most natural thing in the world. Sex is a blessing given us by God for all of us to derive pleasure from and to procreate and keep the human species going. God made it feel good, so we will be encouraged to keep doing it more and more. But with that blessing comes a huge responsibility. What commonly happens all over the world with boys and men is that we let the feeling or idea of sex cloud our judgment, and often we make irresponsible choices and take irresponsible actions. That's what I mean when I say irresponsible sexual activity. Irresponsible sexual activity is any sexual activity that is engaged in without both parties being fully and completely responsible about how they approach sex. Having sex is a big deal. It is one of the most fundamentally personal and intimate relations you can have with someone, not to mention the fact that there are numerous potential negative consequences that can come out of any single sexual experience. God in this universe is structured such as if we make responsible choices in anything we do, we will tend to receive a blessing from that choice. Responsible choices in sex are no different. Sex is supposed to feel good, and that is why if you are having sex or contemplating having sex and it doesn't seem completely right for both of you, then you should not be having sex. For instance, if you weren't dating Jamelia, do you think it would be a responsible choice for you to have sex with Crystal? If both you and Crystal decide to have sex, you have considered all of the components and issues that come with having sex with her. In other words, have you or would you discuss sexually transmitted diseases with her? Would you both get tested for STDs before you engage in sex? Have you or would you talk about protection, using condoms? And that means using condoms whether she is taking birth control or not, because condoms are about more than just not getting someone pregnant. Condoms are about protecting the health and safety of you and your partner. These are not negotiable points. These are essential for responsible sexual activity. Clearly, I think the best choice is for you to stay with Jamelia because you care about each other. You do not need to rush into having sex at this point in your life. There are a whole lot of steps and a number of conversations you need to have if you decide you want to entertain dating Crystal. Ask yourself, are you interested in dating her because you like her, or is it the easy sex? And remember, just because a woman wants to have sex with you, it doesn't mean you should feel you have to have sex with her. I was 19 years old in the sophomore in college when I lost my virginity. During high school, there were numerous times that I could have had sex, but I chose not to because I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready to have sex responsibly yet. So I wasn't ready to have sex responsibly then. But as you will see when we discuss mistakes, no matter how old you are, you can still make mistakes in that area of sex. I've made them, and you will probably make them, but we can be courageous in attempting to minimize mistakes. Like I said above, sex is a big deal, and irresponsible sexual activity has ruined many, many lives because of the consequences of both sexually transmitted diseases and negative choices in choosing partners. Men have lost their jobs, committed crimes of passion, and been sent to their death. Families have been torn apart by extramarital affairs. The respect of friends and good standing in the community have been sacrificed because of irresponsible sexual activity. Having sex with a woman doesn't make you more of a man unless you're having sex for all of the right reasons. You're actually less manly and more boyish for feeling like you need to have irresponsible sex. No matter what choices you make, I will be here for you, but I would be very disappointed if you choose to be irresponsible in the area of sex. This is your future you're gambling with. I remember when I was your age, just like you, there were some days I couldn't stop thinking about sex. As I said earlier, your strong urges to have sex from hormones. That's why there are some times when you are more hyped up about having sex than others. Some people call this feeling horny, which is of itself is kind of a funny word, but the word horny comes out of the word hormones. That feeling of wanting to have sex right now is a direct result of chemicals in your body. I'll tell you an embarrassing story. At least it felt embarrassing for me at the time. In high school, I was visiting my mom and she thought I was going to have sex with this hot girl named Regina. She was so worried that I would get Regina pregnant and ruin my future that she decided she needed to have a talk with me. One night, my mom pulled me aside and asked before I was going out and said, I'm sorry. My mother pulled me aside before I was going out and said, Hill, I know your body feels like it needs to have sex, but I don't want you to be having sex with Regina. Can't you just masturbate more? And I was like, Mom, I can't believe you just said that to me. I was embarrassed at the time, but looking back, I think it was great that my mom was able to talk with me about sex. Most parents don't talk about sex until it's too late. That is why I am so proud of you for writing to me and opening up discussion about sex. A lot of people consider sex a taboo subject, but it is essential that you discuss it with people you trust. Above all, always discuss all aspects of sex and with anyone you may choose to be intimate with. I know this letter is going to lead to more questions, so write me back or email me when you can. I'll always answer. Okay, I've got to go shoot this love scene for this movie I'm working on, which reminds me, sex and love scenes in movies aren't real. They're even filmed in front of a huge crew of people. I think that because of movies, a lot of people have over glamorized notions of what sex is and how it should be. Don't be fooled. Real sex in real life comes with real consequences. Hit me back. Until then, be well. All right, so that was that. Then we know he gets into other letters. So here's the question from the next letter. It says, why do girls change their minds a lot and act so complicated? This is a great question. One that I think can be best answered by one of the smartest and prettiest women I know, Gabrielle Union. She is one of my best friends and a great actress. She played Eva in Deliverance from Eva with LL Cool J, and she was the cool, sexy cop and Will Smith's girlfriend in Bad Boys 2. Remember the head cheerleader for Compton and Clovers and Bring It On? That's her. She and I did the TV show City of Angels together. Anyway, I'm going to forward this question to her and ask her to answer it for you. This is her answer. Oftentimes, as girls and young women, we can be insecure and not always confident enough to say exactly what we really mean. Since we are maturing, we are constantly evolving, and what we like and don't like is continuously changing. Part of it is that we are all on a journey of self-discovery, and someone or something that may seem exciting one day doesn't interest us the next. The same is true for boys and young men. Part of maturing is figuring out what works for you, and the same holds true for girls. So we need to cut each other some slack. But here's a secret. If you want to know how you can be best understood, if you want to know how you can best understand the complicated actions of a girl, the best thing to do is to listen to what she is saying. And if she seems to contradict herself a lot or act complicated, then just calmly ask her questions. By asking questions and communicating clearly, it will help both of you understand what each of you wants and if you are right for each other. Remember, a lot of girls think boys are complicated too. Communication and questions can help cut down on complications. Best wishes, Gabrielle Union. So that's the end of letter 9. The next letter is letter 10, and the title of that is mistakes. So we're gonna read that tomorrow. Does anyone have anything that they would like to add? Anything that they would like to discuss from the book? Anything that piqued their interest? Yes, sir. Mikaya was good.
No, I was just gonna say man, it's just crazy how the universe work. You know what I mean? I'm just gonna say that. And yeah, like we've been reading, like we've been like just going with it. Like I actually love like his books. You know what I mean? So I'm definitely gonna like look to read more into him also. I know you sent it to me, and when I tried to download it, it downloaded, but for some reason it didn't open. I said I was gonna try it on my other phone. But like I said, I'm more of a book guy anyway. Gotcha. So I'm gonna have to get the book. Like I gotta have a book. Like I'm a physical guy.
Yes,
like the phone and stuff like that. I try to put the phone down, like so I get other stuff done. So you know what I mean, I understand like the power that they put into the technology side. But yeah, yes, man, sir. Like I actually I love his work.
Yes, sir. And yeah, man. And talking on this subject, man, it's so funny how he says like he's talking about this because, and some of y'all know, man, and I've said this before. My parents had me when they were 14 and 16. And I talked to my parents about that decision. I'm 33 right now. And at that time, like they really honestly felt like they were ready to have a child. And I would always ask them, like, how did y'all feel that way? Like, it's crazy. And now my father, he's, realized, hey, no, that wasn't the best decision. We don't regret you. I don't regret you. You weren't a mistake. But if I could do it over, I would definitely wait until I'm more prepared. Me and my mother have had talks, and she just felt like, hey, she was ready at that time. She did it for a lot of reasons that she felt were right. I didn't necessarily agree with, but I wasn't the one making the decision. I was just the vessel that came from the decision. Well, yeah, man, I've had conversations with my mom. And for the younger people who are, listening to this or you listening to this later or whatever, like, you got to be careful with this. Like, my parents were 13 and 15 when they got pregnant with me. And they were still they were still in grade school. And my parents split up before before I was even born. Now they were in love. They thought they were going to get married, all this and that. And I remember asking my mom, why y'all didn't work out? And my mom was like, one day your dad came up to me and was like, hey, I don't want to be with you. I'm going to break up with you. And my mom said she was really, really, really hurt. And then my dad came back to her at the end of the day and was like, hey, Chris just dared me to break up with you. I really want to break up with you. You know, I want to be with you. And my mom was so hurt that she didn't get back with my dad. And so I had to grow up in a broken household. And I had to grow up with my father not being in my life every single day, because two teenagers thought that they made the right decision by having a child, but something as little as a joke totally altered the rest of my life. So that's why it's important, like, for the youth to understand, like, you think you ready and you're not. Like, I remember asking my mom, like, you know, why you felt like you could have a baby at that time. Like, she felt like because, you know, my grandmother would give her money to go pay bills and stuff. She was going and paying the bills. Then she was going and buying clothes for herself and stuff. Like, she felt like she was mature enough. Like, that's the thought of a 13-year-old. And that was the same 13-year-old mind that said, hey, I can have a child. And now here, growing up, I've had to deal with a whole bunch of issues and a whole bunch of trials and tribulations because a 13 and a 15-year-old made a decision that they didn't even understand the magnitude of. Your decisions don't just affect you, they affect others around you as well. So you have to understand that. Now, fortunately, I was born with some wisdom. I guess the most I was like, hey, they ain't have all the wisdom. Let me at least put it in this young man. Now, I've done a lot of crazy things too. I ain't gonna, sit and act like I'm perfect. I've done a lot of crazy things. But for an individual who was raised in a single household, who parents had them at 14 to 16, I think I've done pretty well for myself, because the trajectory of where I'm at in my life, I should not be here based on my circumstances. But understand the magnitude of the decision that you've made, that you're making. Understand that you got a long life ahead of you. Because if you don't understand that, your life is going to be difficult, unnecessarily difficult, when it doesn't have to be. Life is already challenging, but when you add unnecessary mistakes on top of it, it makes it even more difficult than it has to be. And I remember I heard a piece of advice last time before we leave. I heard this piece of advice when I was younger, and I wish I had applied it more, but it said it's okay to make mistakes, just don't make life-altering mistakes. So, young people, y'all got to realize you can't make life-altering mistakes. Like, it's a lot of young people out here doing crazy stuff. Y'all out here robbing people. Y'all out here boosting the scam and all of these things are life-altering mistakes, when, like, there's no need to scam when you literally have Cash App on your phone and you can invest in stocks on your phone. And that's legal. Like, you don't have to scam. You don't have to risk your freedom. You don't have to, like, you don't understand. You go try to work for somebody else and they see you got some type of fraud or theft charge against you. It's going to be very hard for you to get a job somewhere. It's going to be very hard besides get a job, it's going to be very hard for people to trust you moving forward, because they're like, I can't trust you. You might steal from me. Like, these are life-altering decisions. But the best thing for you to do is learn what you can learn and implement the greatness of what it is that you've learned. Anybody got anything else they want to add? If not, we're going to go ahead and get on up out of here. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody being on the call. We'll be back here tomorrow, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. tomorrow. This is not a secret society. If you know anybody who you feel like will benefit from this, will benefit from men gathering together to uplift one another, hold one another accountable, and to pour into one another, please share the link. We'll be back here tomorrow, 8 p.m. I appreciate everybody. You all have a beautiful evening.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Yes, sir. You too.
All right. Take it easy. Have a good one.
Yes, sir. You too.